Hope everyone's well. Brush as long as it's butter-kissed popcorn. I'm all for it. But I hope everyone's well. Just want to do it. Just want to do a couple of housekeeping. Want to thank everyone for tuning in last week. Really appreciate it. I had over 3,000 views, so thank you for that. Also, would like to just say thank you for the over 50 messages that I have on Instagram for signposting and stuff like that. So yeah, really appreciate it, and wish to say hello, Josh. How you doing, mate? So yeah, the link's in the StreamYard if anyone wants to come on. But today is a bit of education really regarding PTSD. So yeah, I hope you learned something from it. PTSD is yeah, it's one of the ones that is very hard within mental health to fight. So yeah, I hope you find it interesting. I hope maybe something of it helps you. That's the whole point of these shows, is trying to find things that will help, maybe aid you in life, help with your mental health. Sorry, I'm just taking my bracelet off because it keeps knocking the table. It's doing me in. But yeah, so yeah, I do hope that what I will talk to you about will be interesting, help you a bit. That's all I can really do, to be honest. Really. But I'm gonna so basically the background of PTSD is goes back to like war veterans mainly, Civil War, Vietnam. It's mainly like a military condition, was what the early stages of it was PTSD. But it wasn't until like 1980s when PTSD was added to mental disorders. So basically, PTSD is broadly characterized by an extreme reaction to trauma that changes how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. This can present in a variety of different ways of varying severity and causes considerable distress to the individual, usually affecting their common to function normally. An individual who develops PTSD hasn't necessarily gone through a traumatic event, but may experience symptoms of traumatic stress indirectly from a trauma affecting close family or friends. The proximity, duration, and severity of trauma exposure can affect whether or not you develop symptoms. For example, you are more likely to develop symptoms if you personally experience chronic severe trauma such as childhood abuse, rather than an individual who witnesses one-time experience such as a robbery. Yeah, that's like the basic of it. A normal stress reaction. Normally, when an individual is exposed to a threat, their sympathetic nervous system, basically the fight or flight response, will be activated. The sympathetic nervous system will release. I'm not even going to say those names, but it basically releases a drug in the brain. So the pupils dilate, mouth dries, adrenal glands release a drug again, liver releases glucose, bladder inhibits urination, and skin increases sweat production. The brain will release ACTH, cortisol, and adrenaline. The heart will increase. When you are no longer exposed to the threat, basically the nervous system will kick in and all those processes will reverse. So I know it sounds probably really boring, especially for the way I've said it, but PTSD for me is it's one of the hugest factors for me. PTSD, it's it's one of the hardest ones for me personally. I'm a manic depressive, but when it comes to like PTSDs for me, I think my doctor told me I've got like over 20 different PTSDs that have happened in my life. So when you all add them together, it can be extremely hard to function sometimes. So for me, PTSD has been helped a little bit with a CBT, which is basically making your brain file away differently instead of all beating your blood up in your brain. If you just file away a situation, you can kind of deal with life a little bit better, or a situation a little bit better. Like because mine were quite severe. The psychiatrist that helped me with CBT basically started off with a very small issue that I had in my life, which was to do with kidney beans. It sounds really weird. There's a huge backstory to this situation with kidney beans. Basically, I had an issue with ever eating anything with kidney beans. Still do, still won't eat them to this day. If I'm going to have chili con carne, it has to have no kidney beans in it. So that sounds really weird, but that's me. I am quite a weird person. But anyway, how it was done over about eight sessions, I think. And it was basically to try and make the kidney bean look different in my brain. Basically, at the end of it, at the end of the eight sessions, it was like the kidney bean had comedy eyes, comedy legs, a bit like a cartoon character, and it did make me stress a lot less about kidney beans. That was just like a trial period, trying to help me with basically to see if CBT would work as well. I think it's the other option of that, but it did help. And like this, like talking about kidney beans with PTSD is a lot of people just think PTSD is like severe stuff. But like I've said, it can be quite a small thing as well. Not small as in it's not going to hurt you and not going to impact your life, but PTSD can be from one small little episode in your life to something that was severe that would also be a PTSD. So it's a very wide range that it covers basically. So look, if it causes you stress and it causes you anxiety, then it is definitely worth looking into it, really, to be honest. I highly recommend that if you do suffer from PTSD, that you definitely go and speak to someone. It's definitely not something you can deal with by yourself. You can't really do CBT by yourself. You definitely can't do it by yourself. And I would highly recommend you don't do it like via YouTube or some kind of meditation tape or anything like that. I highly recommend you don't do that. I recommend you to go and see someone about that. It is a tricky situation, PTSD. I'm never going to say to you that it's easy, because it's not. It's very hard to handle. But if you can do it, then big ups to you, because PTSD is for me one of the hardest things. and that I as I say, I've got bad mental health, but PTSD is one of the hardest ones to fight. I can't think of an easy time with PTSD. But if you can get a little bit of help for like with me, I've got like over 20. But if you've got like any situations that you think maybe you can talk to someone about it, then please do, because I highly recommend that you get some form of help regarding PTSD. As you know, I just ramble on these. I do try and talk, but I'm not a very good talker, especially when I've got no one to interact with. It's quite tricky when you've got no one to interact with. Yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail on the science behind PTSD. There's definitely some facts that I think you guys should listen to and take on board, and maybe it might like tick a box. Go, oh, hang on, I might have that. Okay, so some of these are going to be a little bit hard to hear, so I do apologise, but I need to do it. So we're going to go with the criteria for PTSD. There is a criteria. So yeah, so we got criteria 1, which is only one of these are required. Okay. This one's a bit long-winded, so I do apologise. But okay, so the person was exposed to death, threatened death, actual or threatened serious injury, or actual or threatened sexual violence in the following ways: direct exposure, witnessing the trauma, learning that a relative or close friend was exposed to a trauma, indirect exposure to aversive details of the trauma, usually in professional duties. So, like professional duties, like police officer or something like that. So that's criteria 1. Criteria 2. Again, only one is required from this list. The traumatic event is persistently re-experienced in the following ways: intrusive thoughts, nightmares, flashbacks, emotional distress after exposure to traumatic reminders, physical reactivity after exposure to a traumatic reminder. So that's criteria B. Criteria C: avoidance of trauma-related stimuli after the trauma in the following way: trauma-related thoughts or feelings, trauma-related reminders. Right, criteria D. 2 of these are required. So negative thoughts or feelings that began or worsened after the trauma in the following way: inability to recall key features of the trauma, overly negative thoughts and assumptions about oneself or the world, exaggerated blame of self or others for causing the trauma, negative effect, decreased interest in activities, feeling isolated, and difficulty experiencing positive effect. Okay, so that's criteria D. Criteria E is trauma-related arousal reactivity that began or worsened after trauma in the following ways: irritability or aggression, risky or destructive behavior, heightened startle reaction, difficulty concentrating, difficulty sleeping, hypervigilance. So from that criteria, you need 2. But yeah, so like I said, PTSD is going to be diagnosed probably more often than not. And if you are diagnosed, I highly recommend that you listen to any advice from whoever you speak to professional-wise, like doctor, mental health nurse, someone in the profession that knows what they're talking about, not Tom down the road in the pub. Because PTSD does need to be assessed and looked at very well, and very hard, to be honest. So yeah, that's PTSD. Obviously, the link is in the stream if anyone wants to come on and talk. That is, everyone's welcome, always are. But that's basically I talk about PTSD. Really, I've got nothing else really to say on it. It's very hard to talk about when I've got no one else to talk to you about. I'm not one of those that goes into like too much science about it, because it's way more than science. It's life. Life is more than science. Everyone is different. Everyone handles things different. There is no hierarchy with PTSD. PTSD can affect. See, one person. Right, let's put it this way. Let's do the army. People can leave the army, gone through the same kind of things, same kind of experiences. One person could have PTSD, one person couldn't. It's feasible. Everyone's built differently. Everyone has different experience. Everybody has different history of life. Some people are stronger than others. There's no harm in that. But what I would say is, if you feel you've got it, or there's a possibility you know someone that has got it, I highly recommend that you go and speak to someone. It's really not going to hurt, that's for certain. There is some great people out there that will help. So yeah, just if you can get it, I highly recommend that you do. As you know, all my contact stuff is around here and down there. Contact numbers are there. They've been on there a while now, so I probably could take those off, just so you can see my Instagram and Twitter if you need to contact me, which I know a lot of people do, which I really do find really not very, very nice that people would want to reach out for me and try and get signposted. Really do appreciate it. I really do. But yeah, so that's pretty much it, to be honest. I will always wait around to see if there are anyone who wants to come on. They're more than welcome. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about it, to be honest. Yeah, I will stay around for another 10 minutes. I always try and make this half an hour of just me babbling. It's not very exciting, I know, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm contemplating just calling this the Babble Show. Waffle or Babble Show. That's what I reckon. Because that's pretty much all I do. Just waffle and baffle, really. But yeah, and that's pretty much me done. But I will wait around for 10 minutes to see if anyone wants to come on. So what I normally do for 10 minutes, whilst I wait for anyone to come on, is I go through the football news. I love my football. Football makes me smile. So what's going on in the footballing world today? It's just it comes up, that is. That's just Jonathan David. Jonathan David. They're saying three teams are interested in Jonathan David, but they're not saying the three teams. It's really weird. That. I wonder what the three teams are. But yeah, the StreamYard link's in there if anyone wants to come on. I'm going to be here for another 10 minutes. The whole point of it is that people know that I'm here. Mind you, I won't put that on them. No one can see my... But there's my Twitter and Instagram if anyone wants to talk. Feel free to message me. I always get back to you. Like I said, I think last week I had over 50 people message me privately, which is great. Since they just want to listen to me, that's perfectly fine with me. I have no problems with that at all. So yeah, I'm just gonna spend here 10 more minutes, and if anyone wants to chat, they're more than welcome. The StreamYard's there, and I am just gonna tell you if there's any good, interesting football news. Mane to Bayern. Could be interesting. Do you think he's going to leave? I'm not sure. It's a lot of interesting. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what to suggest that's going to happen about the football world. I don't know if the transfer window is going to be huge or not. Not sure. But I will say that this mental health chat is gonna be around. I'm thinking monthly now. Weekly for me is probably going to a little bit too much for my own mental health, and I do have to look out for my own mental health in this as well. It's going to be a little bit trickier for me. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit careful with that. But if anyone tunes in and watches and sees my Instagram and Twitter, and feel free to message me privately. I will be more than happy to message you back. If anyone ever requests to want to do a stream where they want to talk about their own mental health struggles and fights, more than welcome to set one up for you. I've got a lot of football content coming out over the next week or so. I think there's pretty much one every day. I've got 2 watch longs at the weekend. I've got next week. I've got Scotland World Cup qualifier next week. So yeah, I'm doing that. I've just realised I'm on YouTube, advertising YouTube. So yeah, YouTube. Hi. What else am I doing? I've got some Premier League team of the seasons. That'll be quite fun. What else am I doing? I've got 2 qualifiers for World Cup. But after that qualifier, I'll also have another qualifier because it's like a pre-qualifier. So that'll be interesting. Sorry if my internet's dropped out there a bit. Don't know why. But yeah, I'm gonna do this monthly. I think, unless requested by someone, which you're more than welcome to be the person that requests it. And I will be more than happy to. Excuse me. Set up a stream. See, the thing is with the stream is not a lot of people know this. Is I can set up a stream and you don't even have to go live. I can talk to you before the show about whatever, and you can go before I go live, and that is fine. I have no issues with whatever helps. See, the thing is, I've been in this situation for so long that I know that there are so many different obstacles that you are going to go through, and yeah, if there's an obstacle that I can take out of the way, I will. That's been me pretty much my whole life. Is I try and take obstacles out for people. But yeah, I'm going to be around for 4 more minutes. I always want to try and make this half an hour long if I can. But yeah, 4 more minutes and then I am off ski. But there is my Twitter. There is my Instagram. This is my YouTube channel. That's my Twitch. Message me, comment on whatever. I don't mind. I will find your message and I will get back to you as soon as I can, which will be within the day. Normally is. But yeah, I think we'll do this monthly, just for my own mental health, to be honest. But does it mean you can't message me? It just means like I'm not comfortable looking at myself. That's the biggest struggle that I have is when I'm doing my watch alongs. I try not to look at the screen as much because I'm preoccupied with whatever I'm watching. But with this, it's very hard not to be looking at the screen. I've currently got a TV show on that I like watching. I'm listening to it in my ear to try and distract me. But I think I've said before in previous stream that I said in the previous stream that one of my discomforts is actually seeing my face because of who I look like and it being known to me who I look like. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird thing to do, isn't it, when you get on YouTube? So that's why I quite like the watch-alongs, because I'm more focused on the game that I'm watching. I'm giving myself a bit of a challenge with the Premier League team of the season. But I'll try and find a way of dealing with that, I think. But yeah, I'll probably find a way. But yeah, but for now, guys, I am going to leave it there. There's my Instagram. There's my Instagram. You have to look at opposite ways. There's my Instagram. There's my Twitter. There's my there's my there's my YouTube. There's my Twitch. I do have Discord. So if anybody wants to message me and they want to speak to Discord, more than welcome again. I do have WhatsApp as well. Again, if you want to chat privately, more than welcome. I'm always here, no matter what. But guys, right now, I'm out of here. Thank you for tuning in.